through 51. We'll hear God's word. Speak, shall we respond in thanksgiving?
Thanks be to God.
Patrice was invited out to dinner with her friends Barry and Thomas. She met them at the restaurant. She was really looking forward to the time with her newly made friends at work. Since she has moved into the city, it's become more difficult to make friends. You remember that, don't you? Being in school seemed easier to make friends than when you got out into the workforce. Since entering the workforce full time, Patrice, things have slowed down to a crawl for her socially. So she was especially delighted to be invited out with a shared meal with some friends. Eating alone can be rather dull, lonely at times. Sometimes you just don't want to do it. It's day after day after day. On her way home from the enjoyable evening with a simple meal shared by her friends, Patrice began to reflect upon the evening. And you know, she realized a few things. She realized it didn't really matter where they went to eat. She just enjoyed Barry and Thomas's company. She would gladly accept a shared meal with them anywhere, anytime, any place, if she could make it happen. So often she hears about people at the workplace that sit there and complain that they get into arguments, actual arguments. She's seen it in the break room, where they were going to complain about where to eat or what to eat. That seemed to be more important to them than the fact that they were actually going with someone to eat. She thought it was strange that people could get so petty about the particulars of their food. But after this evening out with friends, she can better understand why a shared meal is better shared than eating. Many types of people come and go throughout her days at her tables. She is always trying to be nice and accommodating because she wants to up her salary, as you might know. Think about that the next time you're at a restaurant. But sometimes it's brutal to serve some people. The difficult ones have attitudes, and they are people that seem to have this special knack for pushing her buttons. They are the ones who always want their food cooked just a little differently. They are the ones who want to be served 10 times more than the other. They want extras, and they want sides to everything. They also seem to make a mess that requires much effort from the staff to clean up for the next patron. As long as people keep their hands to themselves, though, she doesn't really mind their sexist comments if they'll keep them to themselves with their hands. Sally does pretty well with these people. She can even overlook the ones who have really poor table manners. Serving people their food is just that. It's service. She knows it's a humble job, but she does it with dignity and care for the other people so that they will enjoy themselves while they're out physically and emotionally. Bart has been cooking for an hour and a half after a long day of work, and he's still not done yet. He remembers the days when his wife used to do this sort of a thing. If he never would have gotten divorced in the first place, then maybe she would be there doing it for him now. Bart can't imagine sharing a meal with them, his former family. They invited him over last week, to share in their child's birthday dinner party. But Bart wasn't going to go. He couldn't imagine sitting there at the same table with the woman who ripped his heart out of his body. He would not ever give her the satisfaction of his company again, at least in a pleasurable way. Besides, it hurt him too much to see how happy she was without him in his life anymore. It would be fine with him if he never saw her again, much less sit down at the table and share food and fellowship together. He has a hard time cooking for himself these days. So he's not going to do such a thing for himself anymore or anyone else. In fact, he isn't gonna finish cooking the meal. He's decided. Isn't that what fast food is for? Come to think of it, it is. He'll just go through the drive-thru and pick up something to eat and eat it on his way home. That way he doesn't have to worry about a table. It's all easier that way. These three scenarios are examples of us to reflect upon simply in how we come to the table to nourish ourselves both physically, socially, and emotionally. There are many of us who eat with others daily, and we're fortunate enough, but there are also those of us who must eat alone. Some of us eat in motion, not giving any thought to what we're consuming or how much, all the while others of us are eating sitting down with shared company. And there are others of us who are the servers. We cook and we clean. And we eat food only after we serve the other people. So we might join at the table, but it's from a different perspective, a different vantage point. No matter what position we take at the table, the reality is we all must eat. And how we do it determines how well we are fed. There are programs that give specific attention to those who are addictive eaters. They teach people how to become in mindful focus of eating each bite when they sit down at the table so as to not to overeat. There are programs that encourage special foods to buy and consume for weight loss. And there are also programs that work on the emotional and psychological states of a person and their relationship to food, all trying to bring about a normal relationship of acceptance with the morsels we must consume. No matter the path the food addict must travel to regain a quote-unquote normal body weight and body image, the experience at the table must be practiced. This practice at the table of learning to come and partake of the bread and the wine is something we Christians must learn to practice. And how we practice that, but not alone, with one another, is what we are called to accept at the table, the one who lives to serve us, the host, Christ. We are called to the table where we are fed and fellowship awaits. We are called to the table by Christ, who has prepared it for us. And in our scriptures today, the author of John reflects on the world of Judaism. They were people who were not all the same. They liked different things, and they lived in different ways according to social class and whatnot. They liked different things, and yet Jesus' words were issuing an invitation for those to come to the table to eat and drink together where he is the host. He will become their one way. At this table, they will not hunger or thirst because their needs will be met. At this table, the basic foods will be met, the body's physical needs will be given, the fellowship with one another will be met, and the social needs where Christ will be able to lead the participants into a meeting of spiritual needs. But there is a first needed ingredient. That ingredient is the willingness of acceptance. Whether it's for you and I to accept Christ ourselves, or whether you and I are to accept ourselves, yeah, some of us have problems accepting certain parts of ourselves, or whether you and I are accepting one another or those who have not yet come. This table is a big table. It's a table for all of us to come to. There are big tables and small tables. There are long tables and square tables. There are low tables and high tables, sturdy tables, fragile tables, and wobbly tables. There are loud tables, there are quiet tables, there are nice tables and rude tables. There are vegan tables and carnivore tables. There are salad tables and dessert tables. There are fancy, decorated tables, and there are naked and unadorned tables. No matter what type of a table where an eternal blessing that fills and heals our human finitude awaits. In the name of Christ, may God add deeper truths to our understanding brought to us today. Amen.